In this video, we are going to check out and analyze and play a really swinging Chet Baker lick that he plays over his rendition of I'll Remember April. This is from his album, The Chet Baker Quartet, recorded in 1956. And it is one of those licks that caught my ear and I was like, I want to check out that lick. I'm going to transcribe that and put it on all 12 keys. You can go to my website at jefflewistrumpet.com and download the PDF. It's free in all 12 keys. Let's take a listen to me playing it. So the thing that I really love about his sound and his tone and his sense of time and swing is not only that, but his note choices as well. So we're going to take a deep dive into how he plays this particular lick, how it works over the chord changes, and how he uses accents and subtleties like ghost notes and chromaticism and also enclosures, and how that adds to the swing feel. This solo occurs at about 1 minute and 30 seconds in the version on YouTube, and it is also in the form of ABA, where each section is 16 measures long. This solo occurs on the last A section of his first chorus. Okay, taking a look at the first slide here, we see that the first 8 measures are basically in the key of A major, and that I have highlighted in blue where he plays ghost notes. Ghost notes are generally just played very softly. Sometimes you'll see them written as an X and also with a stem on them. So in blue, I have them in parentheses as well as highlighted in blue. And those particular places he plays really soft. So that's what I like about his sense of swing, is he'll play the high notes a little louder and accented, and the low notes he plays soft. If you take a closer look at this, you can see that I've also added some of the slurs where I think he slurs and also where he accents. Taking a look at the second slide, we see his use of chromaticism. Here, we see that in red, these are the notes that are not in the key of the chord that is being played. For example, A has 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. In this particular example, he plays an A sharp in measure 2. Well, that's outside of the key, but you notice he plays an A sharp on an upbeat, and that's considered a weak beat. In jazz, you can pretty much play any note on an upbeat just as long as it resolves either to a chord tone or a scale tone. That's not always the case. There are no hard, fast rules here, but I'm just doing an analysis of his solo, and that's what he does here. It's actually part of an enclosure that we're going to look at in the next slide. Moving further on, I noticed that he plays a C natural on the downbeat of an A major scale. Well, that's pretty odd. But if you listen to the piano player sometimes will make an adjustment. If he hears the soloist playing in A minor, then the piano player will start to play in A minor. Regardless, you can play a C natural on a downbeat because it's like foreshadowing into the next chord, which is an A minor. And that will create some tension. And then as it resolves to the A minor, we hear a release of that musical tension. Also, the D sharp in the A6 chord is not in the scale, but many jazz players will take the 4th note of a major scale. In this case, we're in the key of A, so the 4th note is D. D sharp happens to be the Lydian mode. We sharp the 4 or 11. Now remember, 4s and 11s are the same thing. So the reason we do that is because the D sharp is a whole step away from the major 3rd, which is the money note or the meat and potatoes of the chord. 3rds and 7s are great notes to use as target notes. In other words, where you're headed during your solo. Also notice that the D sharps are on the upbeats, which is the weak beat, so it's not going to establish a new key by playing a D sharp. Moving on, in bar 5, we've got a C sharp that is also on a weak beat that leads to a 4. Now 4s in minor chords are fine because they're inherently one step away from the third, which in this case is a C, and D is a whole step away from C. Now we have in bar 6 an A sharp on a weak beat or an upbeat once again, and that leads to the 9. This is also going to be part of what I'm going to call a long extended enclosure, as we're going to see in the next slide. And then he lands on a downbeat, a C sharp, a strong beat, but he plays the major third over a minor chord. Now that is kind of scandalous, but it sounds great because he encloses the minor third in bar 7. Looking at the next slide, we have enclosures and target notes. Enclosures are basically surrounding a target note. A target note is usually a third, could be a major or minor depending on the chord, of course. It could be also a dominant 7, it could be a 5, it could be the root. And generally, it's usually a third, but not always. And here we've got an A sharp to a B to a D to a C sharp. So we've got kind of a really lyrical way in surrounding that target note, the C sharp. And then boom, landing on the target note, C sharp in bar 3. In bar 6, leading to bar 7, we've got a really long enclosure. A sharp to B, D to C sharp, B to C. And that I'm going to call just an extended enclosure for the target note, which is once again the third of the A minor chord, C natural. Now, if you ask Chet Baker, I'm sure he wasn't thinking any of this. Maybe he worked it out previously. I'm sure he did, playing licks and tricks in all his favorite keys and playing what he playing just, what he heard. He was a very natural player. Everything that he played tended to make sense, had an ease of sensibility and swing, and that's why I'm really attracted to his sound. Also, that big swinging tone. So if you look at the PDF, you'll notice I wrote each subsequent lick up a fourth. And if you think about Clark's number 2, you know that the exercise that every trumpet player and their mother has played. You can practice this lick in all 12 keys with the same kind of mindset that you're going to try to play with the same sort of accents, ghost notes, crescendos, the same slurs as you did in the original key of A. So that's a quick analysis of his 8-bar solo on this tune. I want to know what your favorite Chet Baker solo is. If you can put it in the comment section below, that would be awesome. I've also posted the play along for the tune I'll Remember April on YouTube so that you can practice playing the changes on your own. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment if you have any questions, and I hope to see you in the next video.